The first match of the day will be played on Bel'Shir Vestige. Spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the red Protoss player from SKT1, his name is Bisu.
His opponent spawns as Blue Zerg on top left position of the map. His name is True, playing for Kespa teammate, and this is going to be his last match as a professional player.
Indeed, going to be retiring after this match. So, I mean, I can't see him really going for a cheese. I could see him going for something really interesting, but I don't think he's going to end it all with an all-in. You know, he's going to probably move to more of a macro-style game.
And True really wants to show what he is still capable of, and even before the matches began, he was telling the commentators that he is confident going into today's match.
Oh. Well, yeah, I guess if he really has nothing to lose, so I expect him to really play to the best of his abilities here. I don't really think the nerves are going to be affecting him too much at this point. I can't really see that playing too much into this first set here.
Yeah, so talking about the stats between the two teams, SK Telecom T1 does lead against Kespa teammate in overall matches for the season. In fact, SK Telecom leads 3-2 against Kespa Team 8.
Yep, they do. Indeed. All right, looks like the spawning pool going to go down. Bisu tried to block that, but not going to happen today. The drone said not today. And still just, you know, Bisu doing the really annoying trick where you mine minerals for a little bit and then you stop right before the probe gets the minerals, and that can kind of mess a little bit with the mining AI of his opponent's drones. Just, you know, little tiny ways to get very, very slight advantages over your opponent.
In fact, this was more annoying back in Brood War when the units weren't as smart. You know, they try to go for the hatchery, and before the hatchery is being built, you can deny it with a probe because the drone sinks in for half a second and then it starts building a hatchery. That's the reason why we have the nickname Bisu's Probe, where it's alive for the first 5 minutes inside the main base. Doesn't matter if the Zerglings are out or not, the probe is still alive and harassing his opponent.
Looks like Bisu is going to go for a Forge Expand opening here. And the spawning pool has finished for sure here. No gas yet. He could potentially get some later on, but most likely he'll just go into the standard 3 hatch. He has scouted his opponent's opening, and if you don't go for the gateway opening, you generally don't need to get that gas quite as early in the game.
Of course, you know, you're just playing a regular PvZ style against a Forge Fast Expand. Just get a 3rd hatchery up and play a macro game behind this. There's no reason for a Zerg player to risk everything and try to go for a counterattack, especially since Protoss players have the Mothership Core. They can defend against the early pushes easier than Wings of Liberty. Yeah.
Bisu just notifying himself that, alright, 3rd hatchery is down. Good to know. Backs off with the probe. Should be able to escape with it. Just 2 links without speed trying to chase it down. And, you know, we'll probably see him go into Stargate Tech later on. It's very common opening from the Protoss. Occasionally we do see Robos still, but generally the Robo kind of, makes you think timing attacks.
Yeah, back in Wings of Liberty, it was more of just a standard robo play into something else, but now Stargate is the norm as players love to use the Phoenixes. And remember, back in Brood War, Bisu loved to use Corsairs, and Phoenix is the right unit for Bisu as he could just harass around against the Overlords and also pick up some drones and Queens if there's a gap in True's defense.
Indeed. So True is still just macroing up right now. No gas to see yet. We'll probably grab it, you know, maybe in about 10 supply or so. And we do have Bisu. He's chroning out a Stalker here behind the Zealot. That means he wants to be a little bit aggressive against that 3rd base. Now he's also making a Mothership Core, which he could potentially send across the map there. Going to most likely clear out these watchtowers first of those Zerglings, and then move on to that 3rd expansion.
Yeah, so Bisu likes to go for the early aggression against his opponent. He wants to make sure the Zerg player does not get too comfortable on 3 bases. Now, the Zealot and the Stalker, earlier during the Wings of Liberty days, you know, it got taken out easily once the Zerglings came out, but now, because of the Mothership Core, it could deal a lot more damage, and you can also recall if you decide to do so at the last second.
Yeah. Alright, well, here comes the aggression from Bisu, the 2nd Stalker about to complete. Will join those units later on. There's now 10 Zerglings in production. It looks like True has an idea of what Bisu's up to here, and he also is starting his Zergling speed here. The 2nd Stalker actually going to pick off this Overlord here at the main base here. Doesn't want to let too much scouting information go down, and just comes down the control in this situation without Zergling speed. Theoretically, the Stalker can kite those Zerglings pretty efficiently for a while.
Yeah, and True also needs to be careful. If the Queen goes low on HP, the Mothership Core can actually snipe the Queen, so it's really crucial for him to make sure the HP on the Queen is still high enough.
The Zealot, though, gets surrounded here. The Stalker and Militia Core trying to do a little bit of damage here. Overall, you know, Bisu actually, wow, taking a very fast third base here. And the Zerglings, oh, they are 18 in production. He's making a Roach one behind this. I guess we may be seeing, you know, a bit of an all-in here from True, or he has analyzed Bisu's play and is expecting this kind of fast expand here. And it's going to be up to our SK Telecom player to identify what's happening here and then defend his third base.
The problem is the Mothership Core is still at his enemy's base and the Queens are slowly eating away. So if Bisu decides to go for a recall, he's not going to have enough energy for a Nexus Cannon once he comes back home. So it's really crucial for him to keep the Mothership Core alive and make sure those Stalkers do not get picked off in the middle, because those Zerglings can wreak havoc at the third base over there with 20 additional Zerglings on the way from True.
Bisu's +1 attack is about 3/4 stun, but he needs to buy time in order for these gateways to finish so he can warp in more units. He has to defend at the natural, at the third base as well. The Mothership Core not yet at that third expansion here, and Bisu, he needs the warping units. He's making warp gates here, but he doesn't have a lot of gateways at his natural here, so this third expansion could potentially fall unless Bisu has perfect control, defends perfectly. He needs to keep this cannon alive and in time for that Mothership Core to get back home.
The Zealots are covering the cannon completely, and yes, the cannon does get taken out, but a lot of Zerglings fall also, but that's a lot more Zerglings supporting right now. Even with the Nexus cannon, he needs some force fields, and Zealots covering the Nexus. If not, the third Nexus is going to get taken out.
The Zerglings just going right after that Nexus there, and the shields on it are going to soon end up falling here. The +1 attack has completed those, so the Zealots can deal with these Zerglings a lot more efficiently here, but it looks like Bisu, with additional reinforcements, he should be able to hold. True is adding in on more and more Zerglings to this composition, getting Aspire behind it as well, just trying to delay, but Bisu, he's also getting Blink behind this as well. He's going to be able to deal with the Muta follow-up. Look at the drone to probe count difference, 51 probes to 33 drones.
And that was actually a mistake by True. He needed to pick whether he wanted to go for the cannon first or the Nexus. He was hesitating between the two buildings, and at the last second he switched his target to the cannons, except the Nexus did not get taken out completely. Now this time around, Bisu has the force fields and he can cover the Nexus no problem.
One gateway does end up falling here, but not going to be the biggest deal for Bisu. He is warping in 4 more gateways in his main base here. 4 Mutalisks on the way, along with 7 drones. The Blink almost complete, +2 attack on the way. And when these 4 gateways finish here, Bisu, he's going to set himself up for a very powerful timing momentarily on 3 bases. And you know what? The Muta's great for harassment, great for keeping your opponent in his base. But if we see our Protoss player move across the map, get some proxy pylons, he's going to have so many gateways to reinforce from with excellent upgrades.
Look at the minerals and the gas bank for our Protoss player. He could just warp in 10 Stalkers at the same time, 9 to 10 Stalkers. The Blink is finished and the +2 is halfway done. Yes, the Mutas are out. It's going to be great for True, but he needs to buy time with the Mutas instead of this.
The Mutas are revealed.
This is not good for True. He needed to hide those and attack his opponent secretly while buying enough time to drone up behind this.
At least he does get a few sentries there, but the problem is the Stalkers here out in the open now. True is going to be forced to be very defensive in this position. Look at the supplies right now, 103 to 83. The Protoss player should never be ahead in this position unless it's a very dire situation, and that's what it is right now for True. He doesn't have all 6 of his gases even at this point, which is what you need with the Mutas techs. And now Bisu moving across the map with a very strong force. True, how is he going to be able to defend this with a handful of Zerglings and Mutalisks?
I don't think he can actually defend against these Stalkers. 6 more Stalkers being warped in right now, as these are +2 Stalkers now instead of just +1, and True only has a handful of Zerglings and few Mutas against tons of Blink Stalkers from Bisu.
The Blink Stalkers now moving towards the natural. True has no choice but to defend here. We do see a Blink from Bisu showing he's very confident. It doesn't matter. The additional Stalkers moving in from the middle of the map as well. Bisu tearing apart every single unit. True's drones moving off the mineral line here. It doesn't look like the Zerg player has a chance of winning. GG is called. Bisu wins set number 1 against True.
You know, True, he decided to go for the Zergling attack, and yes, it's scary for the Protoss player, but you need to decide which building you want to attack. You can attack their gateways, yes, it's good, but you cannot switch the target midway, because now you're trying to kick out the gateways or the Nexus, but if you keep every single building alive, then Protoss player is going to be so far ahead in the economy.
Now, once again, Bisu showing why this is the strongest matchup there. That looks like a very dangerous attack from True, but you know what? Bisu took basically no economic damage there. He handled it perfectly. And on that note, Bisu does take the first set over True. The score 1-0 with SK Telecom leading over Kesma teammate. The next match will be S2 versus Cure. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this commercial break.